All right, today we're going to review a 1972 Triumph TR6. In my 40 years of trading British cars, I'm not sure I've ever experienced such a unique, had some pretty special TR6s, but this is really a unique car. We have the original bill of sale on the car. It's a 3-owner car. Documentation from each owner are in the files. We've got several files on it. But the last gentleman was an elderly man, and this was his pet project, and he went at it. I hope I can share with you all of the different things he's done, the uniqueness of this particular car, and how it's added value to the car, what he has done. Original color. (1972) with no rust, no accident history that we're aware of. Beautiful paint. Again, we have documentation for every dime spent on this car. Well, probably not every dime, but most of the money spent on the car. Receipts broken down in different categories, and amount spent, of course. What a lovely TR6. I'll get into those receipts and all that documentation after we first do a walk around. Let me share with you what I would normally share on a normal TR6, advantages and disadvantages, or advantages of this particular example. The first thing I normally will look at on TR6s are how are the body gaps? And how does the car sit? I want to point out the body line in the hood, even on both sides. Sits nicely. This particular one, he's louvered the hood, and I'll show you the backside also. One of the biggies with TR6 is they are mounted on rubber mounts between the frame and the body. And if you have a rusty body or you have broken down mounts on the frames, these gaps will open up. I have driven hundreds of miles to buy a TR6, and I get there and I can put my finger through this gap or feel like I can walk through it. It spreads out. This rear end drops, this drops, and this gap opens up, and look how straight and even that is. The other thing that's hard to keep in place from the factory is the plane on the sides. These doors have a tendency to hang out at a corner, front or back, because of the alignment of the body. Look how flush those doors are, how straight the door is. A lot of TR6s, they rust up through here. These are full of putty Bondo. This one's not. You can see the seam is there. Speaking of seam, again, deck lid seam is good and even. Cloth soft top. They're easier to work with. They stay looking nicer longer. I'm not sure they're warmer or colder, which they will not be. That click you hear is a proper door stop on a TR6. You want to hear that. This door is also even. I may be redundant. Look at the reflection in the door, in the paint. I may be redundant in a lot of things I say, so give me a little grace. I'm looking through the receipts. I'm not sure there was a stone unturned on this car. He did just about everything, from this plastic vent to these wiper arms, the hood releases, mirrors, decals. It just looks like he got it all. I'm gonna walk around this top, and we're gonna drop it, get a better view of that interior, open the hood. What a good looking TR6. What a handsome car. I drove it this morning. We had a break in the rain, and it drove as I would have expected it to. Very straight, strong, responsive. Suspension was responsive, transmission was responsive, brakes were responsive. Let me drop that hood, and then I'll open the hood. Let me drop the, what would they call the top? I think that's the hood, and this is the bonnet. All right, all right, here we are with the soft top down. When I was dropping the soft top, I was reminded it was a zipper, rear window zipper out top, which was correct from the factory. Had the correct snaps in the correct place. But one thing I did notice is I didn't get a top boot with this car. So I'll circle back around to the seller and see if we can't find that top boot. If not, that's a pretty thing to obtain, pretty easy thing to obtain. This is a wind deflector that was not standard with the TR6. Matter of fact, I've never seen one with a wind deflector. So they've had that built or bought it. Of course, it keeps the wind from coming back to the front of you. Easy to talk about the interior. Everything's new, been touched, redone. In the records, we see all this is new. All the gauges were new. Again, a lot of discussion needs to take place regarding the interior and the components of the interior, mainly the air conditioning. They replaced the original factory heater, had an upgraded heater and an upgraded air conditioning unit put in, and they had to rebuild all back behind that dash to fit the new modern day components, even to the point where he had to rebuild the glove box. Glove boxes on these are fairly deep. They're just a cardboard setup. So it's locked. So he rebuilt the glove box. It's still there, so you have one, but it's narrow and deep. Bluetooth setup, electrical setup for your power sources. All of this was redone. These are your controls, air conditioning controls, again for the update. One of the things the mechanic noted to me, TR6s normally will have the defrost. They'll have the vents, not for heat, but fresh air vents. And then they'll have heat underneath. This particular setup has 6 vents, so you get adequate air, adequate heat. Look at the condition of those gauges, that dash, it's beautiful. Motorlita steering wheel. Fresh seats, of course, correct high back seats, nice carpets. This car does have that upgraded Toyota 5-speed transmission, which makes it drive so nice. Mechanics, there's so much to talk about. And again, if I'm redundant, please give me a little grace. And then I probably will miss some things. The workmanship under this hood, even to the point of he bought a new stay, and then I asked the mechanic, I said, what's this tape for? And he says, to keep from scratching the paint. Good idea. You always see this scratch from TR6s, and you can see the footprint here, but that's the kind of thoughtfulness that went into this car. Fuel pressure gauge. Here's the workmanship from the air conditioning unit. What you'll normally see here are rubber grommets that are broken and deteriorate through the year. You can see the steel plate that they've put here. Again, another example of the thoughtfulness that went into this car and the building of the car. The heat shields here is not normal TR6. This unit is a control unit for when you turn the air conditioning on. They've turned some of the mechanisms for the carburetors upside down so that they could activate this. This is a plunger, so when the air conditioning comes on, it actually raises the RPMs of the engine. Air conditioning compressor here, aluminum radiator. Again, look at the workmanship, look at the mounting brackets. Mounting bracket back over here. Correct green hoses from Triumph. Nothing wet on this car. Engine's been rebuilt, we have the records for that. Heat pad on the back of the hood. screens for the louvers so nothing drops into the car, into the engine compartment. See how clean all this is. No rust. What an extraordinary TR6. So far the only thing we've seen is we're missing the top boot. And again, I'll circle back around to the people we bought it from. It would be hard for me to imagine this man did not have that top boot, considering he did everything else. One of the things he did on the starting, he didn't like reaching down here, so he turned the key on here and has a starter button here. In the records, we can see that they've replaced the dash cap, they've replaced the knee pad, Motorlita steering wheel upgraded, of course, gear shift knobs, boots, floor mats, emergency brake boots, seat belts, fresh sun visors, tight door cards. Again, no rust. Color code. Let's get the color code. Is number 96. The trim's 27, so that would be that dark blue with the biscuit interior. Dunlop wire wheels. Kind of give you an idea again as to the history and the care and the conscientious ownership of this car. Let's go to the records. We have the original bill of sale. We've got extra keys. We have the original bill of sale that was sold new in Nashville, Tennessee. Here is the instructions for the conversion to the 5-speed. There was a printout in here that kind of gave an idea. Here we go. This is an overview. Completely rewired utilizing advanced auto wire custom kit, Dunlop wire wheels, Robbins fabric top, new interior, Toyota W58 5-speed transmission, Corello pistons and connecting rods. The cam itself is a little larger ATP big valve head with ATP fast road cam. It was completely balanced and assembled, heavy-duty clutch. That doesn't mean anything other. Doesn't mean it's heavy to operate. It feels like any other TR6. It's just a more stout clutch. SU cars, big front brake kit. Front of the brake kit, what that is instead of one piston for the caliper, they have two. Custom air conditioning, aluminum radiator, thermostatically controlled oil cooler. That was another thing. He took an oil cooler. I could show you the lines, and they ran it to the front of the car. That's unusual, kind of Porsche technology. Tube header with ANSA exhaust. So it has a header with ANSA exhaust, and again the Motorlita 14-inch steering wheel that we mentioned. We have it all broken down to parts, labor, re-chromes, wheels, Dunlop wheels, the paint. Here we have ownership history, 85, 93, and then the last gentleman that may be a 4-owner car. Maybe there's 4 names in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last man that owned its name was Ed. And I wanted to pull out that bill of sale, and I'll do that. So I will take it now, and we will put it up on the lift and look at the undercarriage of the car. And okay, we're on the underside of the car, and we don't see any rust at all. Let's start with that. This is a rust-prone area. Inner seals, of course, floorboards are rust-prone on TR6's frames themselves are rust-prone. This is a real thin piece of sheet metal. It's not unusual for me to see those rusted out. See that floorboard, frame. Inner seals. It's a little damage from a lift probably, because that's just a real thin piece of metal. I don't even know where to begin on this mechanics of this car. We've kind of covered a lot. Bredestein tires, one of my favorites. It's what I always order for all my imports. Looks like the rear end's been opened, resealed. Nice fresh bushings. All of these joints, which are a common TR6 issue. Axles new. Shock absorbers are upgraded. Shock absorbers normally come here, but they've replaced it with sway bars, and the shocks are in here with coil springs on the exterior. I've never seen that on a TR6. Good everywhere. Let's come to the front. That Toyota transmission looks like it's a little heavier, bigger than a TR6. Anson exhaust. Of course, all the front suspension components are brand new. There's that shock in the coil. Brakes, which I mentioned, the 4-piston brake calipers versus 2. Sway bar. Aluminum radiator. I'll lower it and we'll look at it at eye level. All right, we're looking at it at eye level because historically I will buy a car and I will throw it up on the trailer and then I see flaws that I would not see normally. And so I have now gotten into practice of putting the cars up on the lift, putting it at eye level, and then doing a walk around. It enables us to see flaws or places where it might have rust. You might not see it on the ground. This one does not have rust. Lines are good. Rocker panels are good. No rust on a TR6 is a big, big thing because they were rust prone. Inner fenders all clean and nice. Headlight buckets are clean. Dunlop wire wheels with ear knockoffs, very attractive touch. Straight sides. There are, I saw a few minutes ago, there are a few little scuffs along here from people getting in and out, but something one would expect. I don't even see them at this angle. Look how straight that door is. Again, clean up underneath here. Car has always lived in Tennessee. It was not a rust-prone area. Chrome's all fresh, been redone. Lenses are good. Boy, just not much in the way of flaws to point out. Doors are straight. Again, no rust. Pretty high grade car. There's that damaged rocker right here. No, not much there to complain about. Looks good. These fog lights, when they sit up like this and you lower your hood, you get a chip. There's one, there's one. And when you lower the hood or raise the hood, these come down. So those need to be pushed down before you raise the hood. Grill's in good shape. Front bumper's in good shape. What a very high grade, high quality TR6.